I'm sitting in a parking lot on the ground in front of my bike like a routine biker. Yeah, we do shit like this, right? So I was asked to do a review on here by someone. I never thought of doing that until someone just asked, and I was like, yeah, why not? So this is my review of my 2019 Yamaha R6, and quite the bike. Before I give you my opinion, I'll tell you, like, I got it stock, obviously, because I got it brand new. And I have some modifications, so I have different levers. And I have no fender. And I have the aero exhaust, which is on the other side, which I will go to right now. So there's the aero exhaust as well. Okay, so that's basically, oh yeah, and I have these tank protectors. Those are carbon fiber, by the way. And then I have my sticker with my Instagram handle on it. I think that's all my modifications, I think. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else. Oh yeah, and I have a quick shifter. But you can't see that because it's inside the bike. However, it came with it. Like, I've never not had a quick shifter on this bike. So, that's a little tour of my bike. I think I want to ride a little more, and then I'll just add a clip to this video with my reviews. Here goes my review of the 2019 Yamaha R6. I bought this bike stock from the floor, brand new. It came with a quick shifter because I requested it right from the start. Everything else I've put on in terms of modifications of any kind. And overall, there's no question that this bike is superb. That's a very vague statement, but a very true statement. The one thing that I had to change in the beginning, which I did find was quite uncomfortable at first. The clutch was so tight that you literally had to be like the fucking Hulk to ride this thing. Like, to pull in the clutch was like the hand strength needed. Like, for a couple months, I literally had tingling arms. I'd go to bed with my arms tingling because aside from the new position and stuff, pulling in that clutch was crazy. It was so stiff. It's a powerful machine. And it was like intense. So, you know, I thought, okay, maybe it's just me or something. My brother, who's like a big dude, like muscular, plays the bass, you know, like he has really strong hands. And he rode it for 10 minutes and he said that his hand was hurting. So, that said, one of the first modifications, which I'd shown you, was the levers. Now, I didn't get an adjustable lever, like, in terms of the system. Like, we didn't change out the system where inside you actually change the pivots fully so that it's literally different. That did not happen. But changing out the levers on the top, at least now it was adjustable so that it could be closer to my hand. So it wasn't one, as stiff as the original, and two, it was closer so that I wasn't like extending my hand constantly to pull in the clutch. So that helped a lot. It's still like incredibly stiff compared to like other bikes I've ridden. Like whether it's my R3 or like the ZX6R 2019. I mean, it's like nothing. Pulling in the clutch for other bikes is like nothing. My bike, you're really, it's a powerful motor and you can feel it. Like, I'm not surprised, but it was pretty intense. The stock clutch was like, okay. So with the adjustable, you know, it costs like maybe $150 or something to get it done. And, you know, whatever for the lever. Honestly, with the change where you can adjust, I'm living with it. Like, I don't feel it anymore. It took like a few weeks to get used to it because my hand was still like needed to be worked out to even, like riding the R6 generally, okay, I'm going to tell you, I had to change physically to do it. Not just as a female or something, but actually get muscle to a higher extent to be able to, like core strength, long distances, bent over in that position. You know, like I do jujitsu now since I started to ride the R6, and I literally need that kind of muscle. Now it feels like totally comfortable. Like it feels like nothing to ride. But people who ride other bikes, they sit on that bike and they're like it's a bit like a real rocket. Like it's very intense positioning, aggressive. My bike's very high up. Like even someone who has ZX6R, they sit on my bike and it's like it's very different in terms of height, feel. It's bulkier a little bit. It's a hefty bike, even though it doesn't feel that way. Like, it feels very aerodynamic when you're sitting on it. It's a powerful machine. And the way it's designed, when you sit on it, you're serious. Like, you're seriously going to be riding this bike. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to cruise along. Like you feel like you're at the track. Like, it is a sweet machine. But like I said, I had to work out to get up to where I could ride. Like, I can ride for like 4 or 5 hours in a day on this bike, and I can do that. Obviously not all at the same time, but I don't get back pain. I don't get that kind of thing. When I first started riding it, the first day I rode it, we went on like, you know, like a long outdoor, like summer kind of ride. And I think I rode 8 hours that day with the stiff clutch. I don't know. I was fucking mental. Anyways, yeah, it was intense. So, but I don't do anything lightly. So whatever. It's like not shocking that that would be my first like day out on the bike. And who rides a sport bike like mine for that length of time? I do. And whatever. I just rose to the occasion physically to do it. If you're going to do short rides, you don't need to go learn jujitsu or go, you know, do bodybuilding or something to do it. You're going to be fine. But if you want to ride, like I ride a lot in the summer, and if you want to ride that thing, it's so fun, but you have to be in shape. In your core, in your lower back, you have to be in shape to ride that thing for longer than, like, you know, half an hour at a time. Once you are, it's like you can go for hours because it's so streamlined and so aerodynamic, and it's all good. So that's that part of it. In terms of the handling, this bike, stock, when I got it, obviously the growl is incredible. Even though stock, you can't hear it very much. Like the 4 cylinders in the bike, you know, that is beautiful. Like when it idles, it's beautiful. The sound is deep. But you can't hear it that much on a stock exhaust, obviously. So that changed over when I got the Aero Pro Race installed. And now I'm just going to jump to like with the dyno tuning. Like this bike it's as close to perfect as I could imagine a bike to be. Yes, I've gotten myself physically stronger to ride it. So that's true. And I do that. And I have to keep doing that. But that bike is like, it feels like I'm one with it when I'm on the bike. It's very aggressive, very high up. Like my feet touch. I'm 5'7". My feet do touch, but not like flat fully. They're kind of like this, right? And then I could put them flat. But if I need to get like, to use my strength of my legs to move it backwards, then I can run into trouble. So it, you know, I've got it high up and, but it's very comfortable riding. Like I feel like I'm one with this bike. And on the dyno tuning, once that was done with the Aero exhaust, which sounds like with the decibel killer gone, this thing is so low and deep that like literally when I'm accelerating and I've got cars beside me, it's like it echoes off them, but it's so deep. It's like a thunderclap, like an electrical storm is what it reminds me of. It's so guttural, and that blew me away when I heard it. When that new exhaust is on there, I was like, whoa. It was insane. And everywhere I go, like, it's not a sound that annoys people because it's deep enough that it's not jarring. Like, it's not like, ugh, that's so loud. Like, they're just like, it just draws you in because it's so deep. It's like a thunderstorm. It's crazy. So that bike, I don't know, man. It is sweet. The sound of that bike, and when you're on it, it's like, I just listen to the sound of the bike because it's so beautiful. With the dyno tuning, what I noticed was this bike is so powerful on the low end and the high end. It's like a hot knife through butter the whole way. It's pretty crazy because, like, I'll give in another video a review of the ZX6R, and I'll give a bit of a difference there. And even another bike I've ridden, and another one earlier, this is like pure power from start to finish. And it is pretty mind-blowing because when you're riding it, you're not sputtering. Like, let's say you're going, you know, at 10 kilometers or whatever. In the US, it's, you know, you're looking at 5 miles, right? Something like that, like really slow, where you're creeping. Well, you can do that with this bike, but it's power. Like, you put your hand on the throttle and you just give it a little throttle, and it's like it kicks. And you always feel, even when you're going 20 kilometers, or like for the US would be like 12 miles or whatever, you always feel intense on this bike because it's raw power. Like, with the dyno tuning and this exhaust, this Aero Pro Race exhaust is crazy. But I can be inching through a parking lot, and it's like, and it's just growling the whole way. There's no lag. Like, it's a really, I'm telling you, the experience of riding this thing after being dyno tuned is crazy. It's so pure. The power is so pure, and it's smooth all the way through. And when you go up the RPMs, it just kicks. And the quick shifter is incredible. Smooth. Yeah, this bike and the clutch handling is so smooth. Like, it's stiff compared to other bikes you're gonna find. In my experience of only the ones I've ridden, it doesn't mean that it's stiff compared to everyone. Maybe others are stiff as well. But aside from that, it's smooth. Like, there's just, yeah, it's like a well-oiled machine. Like, it's beautiful. The way that it handles, that clutch is the most fantastic piece of machinery. Like, no question. And yeah, after the dyno tuning, this thing, it's crazy. And you accelerate up. Now, my bike, the 2019, it Redlines at 16,500 RPM. So that's pretty intense. Yeah, that bike is definitely a race bike. But it's crazy if, you know, like, I'm riding and it's just like, you know, when you're upshifting or you're downshifting, if you can imagine a wave length going like this, you know, like a flow or sound or something. This is how you feel. So you're going like this, then you're going like this. It's like, but yet you've shifted gears here. It's just, it's smooth. It feels like one thing, even though every time you shift, it kicks. Like, it's not like a kind of subtle shift. Like, you shift and you're like, did I really shift gears? And then you're like, look down, it's like, yeah, it's now up one. This thing kicks every time. Like, you know you did it. And its power, like that, the power of that motor is like, you can feel it. And it's a beautiful bike. Honestly, it's a joy to ride. The way that it sounds when you're engine braking, like, you feel like you could be on like a regular street and you engine brake, you know, you're gearing down to come to a stop, and the sound of this thing is like, you feel like you're at the track and you've just like geared down from like, you know, 200 or something. Like, it's crazy. Like, this bike is such a joy. Like, I used to listen to music on the bike, you know, like in the Walkman or whatever. Walkman, so old school. My headphones. Walkman. And I don't even listen to music anymore. I listen to the engine. It's like, I just want to hear it. And when I go up, I want to hear that. And then as I'm going decelerating, it getting slower. It's like, the engine's like, it's like a musical instrument. This bike is such a pleasure to ride. And it really is a dream bike. I mean, it's got more power than you're ever going to need, honestly, for anything. But there's so much power in every little thing that you do with the bike. I found it gets slightly temperamental in colder weather on the shifting to neutral. It's amazing for actually shifting to neutral. Like, you don't have this like where it goes by neutral and then you have to like fuck with it for like, it doesn't really do that. Like, it's so smooth going up to neutral and going down to neutral. Like, it's like a dream. The only time it gets temperamental is when the bike's like been sitting in the cold for a while, like cold colder temperatures, winter, I've found that it can get a little sticky on the gears. You know, like you're trying to get it to neutral and it like sticks, and then you have to like, you know, move a little bit to unhook the gears, like move them a bit so that it kicks and stuff like that. But to me, that's more like a mechanical, you know, the bike's been sitting for a while, you know, you haven't ridden it for a week because it's too cold or the roads aren't clear or something. So the moment you start riding it, after you've gotten like the oils moving and everything, after like 20 minutes, half an hour of riding it, that goes away. You know, and that's only literally in like cold temperature riding. And that to me is more a mechanical thing that would happen with any kind of gearing or machinery that gets cold. I mean, it's not, you know, it's condensed, right? There's different, you know, the actual condensation of the material gets a little, probably slightly smaller, gets a little tighter. So you have to kind of like, once you get the bike heated and stuff like that, all of a sudden it's gone. So I don't even think that's necessarily a fault or something, because honestly, getting to that neutral, I'll gear down, and as I'm almost stopped, I just kick it into neutral while I'm braking. Like it's so smooth. Like I don't have to sit there and fuck around with it. This bike is, yeah, it's a good bike. It's a really good bike. Honestly, I'm so happy with this bike. And with that exhaust system in this bike, the sound of that thing is, I can't even believe from the stock sound, because it sounded nice, but you couldn't really hear it. And then you hear it with this exhaust in there, and it's like, It's so intense, and it's so deep. I've never heard a bike so deep. Like I've heard like a lot of loud exhaust, but nothing that, it's like a thunderstorm. It's like this, you know, the pavement goes like, and seriously, I've felt vibrations off cars beside me, and I'm not even accelerating like crazy. I'm just getting going. It's so intense. So I think that's my favorite part of the bike. But the handling, honestly, I have no complaints. This bike, I've never ridden an R6 from another year, but 2019, they got it so right, and the cornering is fantastic. You know, you have your traction control, like I just push it up or down or whatever. But this bike, like, even though it's an R6 and it has, you know, more weight and all this kind of stuff, it literally, it took me like a week of riding on it, and I start feeling like I'm flipping it around. Like, it feels light again. Like, it took like literally no time to get used to the weight and the difference of it from the R3. And considering that it's quite an aggressive bike and it's higher up than even the ZX6R that I've, you know, like, I know you can adjust it, but like even mine has been, you know, it's lowered. The suspension was already lowered, and this thing is high. Like it's an intense bike. Like it's a machine, and it doesn't fuck around. Like you feel it when you're sitting on it. It's like, I've never enjoyed sitting on a bike like I've enjoyed sitting on that bike. No question. And I'm not even just impartial because, oh, it's like my bike. Like, I freaking love this bike. And then, yeah, so getting on this thing, it's already intense. And then you just, when you're cornering, it's like, obviously your tires, like I have race tires on mine, and they keep telling me they want to change them to race touring tires because I ride so much. I keep burning them out, but whatever. But this bike, you can flip it around. Like, it just feels like light as a feather. Like, once you're used to the extra weight, it's so well designed, honestly. And the beauty of the bike, I mean, it's, every time I see it, I'm like there's nothing on it that's an eyesore. And the back of this bike, the way that the rear end looks, it's really nice. It's like, I love it. I love the light. I love the way that it's like, you know, it looks, and in the front, the lighting, the way the lights look, they're almost like demonized. Like, they're so cool. They're like, you know, they're kind of got slits and they look angry and mean, but like, you know, yeah, like staring at the front of this bike is beautiful, and it's just as beautiful as the back of the bike. And the side of the bike, like, literally I look at that bike and there's nothing I look at, like, I don't want to change anything on it. It's just like, it just says, fuck yes. Like, that bike is like, fuck yes. Yeah, this bike is sick. So, I would recommend this bike. The R6 is actually being discontinued as a street bike in 2021. I think it is. I think it's next season. And I checked with a source who works, who sold me my bike stuff, and he confirmed that that is the case. So I'm not just giving you bullshit. And it's only going to be sold as a race bike shortly. So now these bikes are going to be even more valuable. And yeah, I think they're going to become, especially the ones that you can ride on the street, like, it's going to become like a collector's item, because, oh man, street riding with this bike. I've never taken this bike to the track, but I did do, like, you know, ramps, on ramps to highways and stuff with it. And it's so good. Like, it handles so well. Like, I never have a problem with anything on this bike. Like, literally, the handling of it and everything is like, it feels perfect. And like I said, I just had to get up the strength to, you know, dominate the bike. And that took, you know, a couple weeks. And then getting more muscle and more in shape and more core strength. And after that, it's like, it's a dream to ride. And it corners beautifully and it handles beautifully. And yeah, so that's the other thing, is they're going to be discontinued as a street bike. So that kind of sucks. I don't know why they would do that, because it's such a beautiful bike for the street. But it'll make it more exclusive for the track, which is obviously, honestly, when you sit on this bike, you know it's for the track. Like, it's just, it's aggressive. It's like, it roars. It's an intense bike. So I would highly recommend an R6. It is a stunning piece of machinery. The 2019, it's just a constant pleasure. And I hope that my review entertained you. It's definitely from the heart. And I've put in like 27,000 kilometers on this bike, and I only got it last year. So I know what I'm talking about. I've been on this bike. I've done, you know, fast, slow. I've done twisties with some wild boys. And I've experienced a lot with this bike. I've ridden it in winter. I've ridden it in summer. I've ridden it in rain. I've ridden it in snow. It snowed one day, unexpectedly. And this thing handles beautifully, and you can change the settings to either race mode. You know, you can set it to, you know, street mode, where it's a little less aggressive power-wise. It holds back power. You can also set it to the mode where, you know, if it's raining or something, you can even lessen it a bit. There, you have like 3 settings. This bike is so smooth that even when I hit rain, I don't even change it from race mode. I always ride in a race mode. Once in a while, I'll turn it back down if it's wet or something. But honestly, this bike is so good that it's like, you don't even feel it. It's like, yeah, it loves the pavement. Yeah, you have to be a good rider, but the bike helps. So yeah, it's a highly recommended machine. And I hope you keep enjoying my videos, my love affair with this bike, and the people in bike life. I mean, seriously, you know, how fun is that? Like, when you meet other people who love it like you do, it's really cool. Whether they're, you know, in your city or somewhere else, we all know what you know. You don't have to ask a biker why they love biking. We all know why. We just know it. And it's pretty cool. So I hope you've enjoyed my review. And yeah, I appreciate it if you've subscribed. Any comments, anything you'd like to say, or any questions. I mean, I don't know enough about what somebody would want to know about it that they might not. So if you have a question, let me know. Okay, cheers.